I feel like we should be dancing. Cue DJ voice, Rob.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show tonight. This is the late recording.
The late show.
7:23 p.m. in wherever you live, Wisconsin.
That's right, Sun Prairie.
Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Did I even say that right?
With an N in Wisconsin.
Wins, because all you do is win.
Except we don't play sports anymore.
Oh.
Womp womp.
I
gotta have sports at the right time.
Yeah. Who are you? Introduce yourself.
Hey, I am your friend Jon Willey.
Hello, Jon Willey.
Hey, what's up, Rob? How are you?
Pretty good.
Good. I'm glad you invited me on. I saw Was and everybody else. I was like, oh man, I want to talk to Rob too.
Yeah, this means you're number 4 on my friend list. So
awesome. That's good.
Literally, I'm going.
Crack the top 5. That's big.
I'm going in order of people I care about the most.
I love it. Wait, where are you starting with the people you care about the most or ending?
Well, see, that's the thing.
You don't ever tell us, right?
You're not going to know.
That's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Going in reverse order.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're drinking a margarita tonight.
I'm drinking a margarita in honor of the Phoenix connection and now the Tucson connection.
Yeah. So how do we know each other?
So we met when my wife, Jamie Willey, who was a youth director at a Methodist church in Ahwatukee, and she said, "Hey, what's that?"
Suburb? No, it's not a suburb of Phoenix. It's a village in Phoenix.
It's the village of Ahwatukee. That's right.
Yeah,
and she came up to me, I remember, and at one point said, "I think you should meet these two guys. They're starting a church." And at that point, I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Sounds terrible.
And then, Jamie doesn't really hype things up that much. I'm her hype man.
She's a tough critic.
She's a tough critic.
Yeah. Fair, but tough.
Very fair, but very tough. But this was also like, she heard that it was going to be something different. And I love different. And I was certainly looking for something different at that point. So, and then I don't remember where we actually met. I feel like it was at an elementary school somewhere, like when we first officially met. And I don't know why we met there. But we had a conversation at some point, you and me and Brian.
We met over lunch. Let's call
it lunch.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's call it lunch.
It sounds less creepy than
there was a lot of
met up at elementary school.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we had little kids at that point.
Yes, we did.
Very babies.
Yeah.
Thank God they're not babies anymore.
Yeah.
They're still hard to deal with. But and then we just kind of hit it off instantly at that point. And we created something really cool called City Square. And I was honored to be kind of the third pastor, not pastor. But whatever you want to call it.
Whoa there. Whoa, slow up.
The music.
That's music break. No.
Music break?
Yeah, music break. Mostly because UPS just showed up at my house and
so you gotta stop for music break. But no, I was so excited to meet you all, to hear about like what you guys were doing differently. When I heard Theology Pub and when I heard things like that, I was like, let's go. This is my kind of thing, my kind of people. And then like the rest is history. I mean, we had a amazing run, and still an amazing run. And now, Brian's leaving and still going strong. But that was such a cool time for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it was a lot of fun having you a part of it. And
it was great to be a part of it.
All those families on Saturdays.
Yeah, that was some of the best. I remember just letting the kids run in the back of your house and
literally
and
nuts. All you
literally go crazy.
5-year-olds.
Oh my gosh. And we were talking about what books were we reading at that point? Love Wins or something like that. I mean, it was
Rob
good.
Bell, Brian McKnight,
Rob Bell stuff.
all the greatest hits.
Yeah, we hit them all.
Yeah.
That was a good time. I mean, because there was no, like, at that point, there was no, like, there was structure, but it was just conversation.
Right.
Like, everything we built at that point was about, like, family and, like, fellowship.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the cool parts. It was hands down the coolest part about it, because we could just be who we were and say what we wanted to say, and there was really no judgment. And that was like, I mean, that's what made it City Square, you know, still to this day, what makes it City Square. Everybody we met, and all the young families who have kids that are going into middle school and high school, it's scary.
Yeah.
Seems like it was yesterday, Rob.
It does. I was actually looking through pictures the other night and came across that first picnic photo.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
It was on.
I don't think I was there though, was I?
You were. You're. I think you're in it, but I also.
Was I there? Okay.
So, I'm not sure how we worked that out. Maybe
you took it.
No, you took it.
Oh yeah, I did. I probably had it on tripod then.
Yeah.
I can't remember, because there was a picture at some point where I was gone for one of the early meetings. But yeah, no, I remember that at the park.
Yeah.
The Browns, and I mean, it was the core crew that point.
It was great.
Yeah,
it
so
was
good.
Great. Yeah. So what are you working on these days, man?
So I, as you know, left sports after 20 years in collegiate and
Chicago Bears.
What's that?
Quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I was the quarterback for the Bears for a little while, until Jay Cutler came along. But no, so I was a creative director. And what's that?
That nobody Google that.
Yeah, don't Google it.
Yeah, don't Google that. Yeah.
Tough divorce right now.
Creative director for.
Creative director and photographer for the Arizona Diamondbacks while I was there. That was an amazing, 8 years, I think. Before that, I was at ASU as an athletic trainer in my previous life, and I was with the Phoenix Roadrunners as the head trainer for them before I, before I knew all y'all. And then we ended up moving, 6.5 years ago now, to Miami, where I went to work for the Dolphins, and kind of rebuilt a creative and photography team there, and had a lot of fun. Didn't win a ton of football games, but had a lot of fun doing it. And now I had an opportunity, went through some struggles, as you well know, tried to re-find out who I was as I turned 40, and then had an opportunity that I went after at a new startup, and took it and moved the whole family to Wisconsin, outside of Madison.
The startup hub. The startup hub.
The absolute startup hub.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
Call it Silicon. I don't even know what to call it. Silicon Fields. But it was long story short. There was a founder who we moved out here who we were initially with. Our other founder was in New York. He was one of the early Facebook employees, and it was either move to New York or move to Wisconsin. And moving from Miami, that was kind of a no-brainer for us. Yeah. And so we moved to Wisconsin and have a much calmer and more relaxed life out here that we absolutely love. And I get to run content and creative and strategy for this small, super scrappy startup called Better, BETR, and we are building a positive media company, essentially, for young people, for millennials, for Gen Z, and we're also seeing what the data is showing, that we're trending across all ages, which is great. Just putting out, more than good news, but good stories. And so it's really exciting to be part of something that purpose driven, and to be able to make a difference with what we do. It's never, people say you never go to work, and I've never felt like I've really gone to work except for a few years where, things are not always, they're kind of tough times or down times and down seasons. And so it was awesome for me to come be a part of this, because I've always been like the podcast I listen to the most is How I Built This. So I have had this massive itch, right, to be an entrepreneur. And I've never had the capital by any means, but I've always had a lot of ideas and things like that. So to come and work with Tom, and to build what we've built over the past year and a half has been really cool. And we're now, it's hard. Like, there's no doubt. We've had a lot of transition. We've had some amazing people that I've gotten to work with and we've gotten to hire. And we're just, you pivot a lot in these early situations. The story of how YouTube started out as kind of a dating app and is now YouTube. I mean, we were a sports company at that point, given we hired a whole bunch of people who came out of sports.
Yeah, that's great. I remember when you were making, it didn't sound like such a big leap.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to the Dolphins, this other sports startup. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we were telling sports stories, which is what I had done for the past, 15 years. So it was really cool to come be a part of it. And then we quickly realized, like, when you talk about things like total addressable market and things like that you're well aware of and what you deal with as well. But opening ourselves up.
All the startup terms.
You got to. Yeah, you got to. TAM and I don't even know most of them, to be honest with you. But
just say words that sound startup-y.
Yeah. Lean, MVP.
Yeah.
Things like that. Whatever books you told me to read too. I'm just gonna throw names out. The 4 Ds of something.
Order this.
Yes, exactly. And I do. And so it's pretty awesome, to be a part of such a young company that's on the verge of, I think, really kind of seeing some exponential growth. So it's exciting to see.
So what's the challenge you found during pandemic times? Like, you were already sort of working, with a team from all around the country. And,
So I was traveling.
You're all online anyway. So
right.
Was there you used the word, pivot, which I know that's like the super gold word in startup bingo.
It is. It's the center. It's the center, really, because everybody pivots at some point.
It's the free space, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, was there one, or was it just sort of like, yeah? Yeah.
So we've had probably 1.5 pivots at this point. And we pivoted away from the earlier company called Blueprint, and which is basically just a pivot out of sports. Right. To instead of making wellness and development content for sports, which is what we all knew, including our founder, including our, both of our co-founders and all of us who came on staff early on. And there were 4 of us for the first, 6 months probably. That's not a lot. We were trying to build a media company, but we were building strategy, putting a lot of ideas down on paper and seeing what would stick, and doing a ton of research into the Gen Z market and who they were. And then we quickly realized that, so many people needed this content. And so we opened it up, and that was our first pivot, really. We rebranded almost overnight, literally within a weekend, and worked on a new pitch deck and then go from there. We're still not VC backed, because we have a lot more autonomy this way, being bootstrapped. And it's great because we can build what we want at this point. Yeah. And we don't really have to answer to anybody but ourselves.
You've officially got startup bingo.
Yeah, bingo. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Good. 5 across.
Bootstrap, MVP, free space was
the lean startup.
Lean and
all of it.
VC venture capital.
Total addressable market. Yeah, the whole deal. We're good.
Yeah.
So it was a good pivot, but I've learned so much, honestly, in the past year than I ever knew before. You think you get to 20 years in your career and you know it all, and you can do it, and you can kind of run things in your sleep. I'm sure you feel that way as well. And for us, it was, wow, we have to figure out how to be a media company. you know, like, and really be a media company. And nobody knows what that means. It's really hard trying to explain what I do to my parents, you know, or my family, and they get it, right?
Yeah.
But to explain to someone and say, imagine like we're a complex meets Thrive Global, and they're like, who? You know, and so, you know, but there's niches. There's niches for that. Like, it's not traditional media in the sense of a CNN or things like that. It's new media, you know, I guess you could say, content creation, and different than just simply a social media channel, which was where we started. We built up at BETR, you know, on Instagram, and got quite a following on there. And then
there's like what, 200,000?
There's about 100,000 on there right now. Yep. We saw a little bit of a downturn when we did the pivot, and that's fine, because then you start realizing who are. Instagram's changed a ton, right? The algorithms changed a ton. Really, what it comes down to, honestly, is you have to have really, really good content to stick through, and to shine through, because your content has to be differentiated enough and unique enough that people will care to watch it and care to share it. And those are like, we had a kind of a refocus about a month and a half ago. And one of the big things Tom and I came to our team with was like, why should people give a shit about what we're making?
Yeah.
And then why would they want to share it? You know, because sharing, when you look at all the analytics, we're getting more bingo game boards here, but when you look at the metrics of what people measure, in the past you would measure video views, but then quickly at the Dolphins, everywhere, when I was at the Diamondbacks, think about that was 6.5 years ago, we weren't using social media.
Where did the time go?
We weren't allowed, you know, because BAM wouldn't let us, and they controlled our YouTube channel and controlled all that stuff. And so think about the time that has gone by in only 6.5 years, 7 years, let's say, where Instagram acquired Facebook and the world changed at that point. Twitter blew up, and now the days of TikTok and Snapchat and everything's changed. And so the metrics change constantly too. You have to be aware of that, and you have to constantly be watching that. So for us, we had to decide what metrics mattered to us. And that was if people saved it and they shared it, or they tagged a friend in it. That means it hit with them enough to make an emotional connection that they wanted to not only share it and hit the share button, right, or retweet or things like that, but share it with their friends when they're just talking, you know. And that's how you build those network effects and that word of mouth that really kind of creates something big. You can pay for it all you want. You can spend $1 million a la Quibi, $1 billion in a marketing campaign launch, and you can kind of fall flat on your face. Not saying that that's what they did, but that's kind of what they did.
Well, we'll have them answer that question when I have them on tomorrow night.
When you have Katzenberg and Mag on, perfect.
Yep.
That should be an interesting conversation. I'll moderate that if you want me to.
Okay.
But
shots fired.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, you can't compete with someone who raised $1.5 billion and put nearly $500 million in your first marketing campaign. They were everywhere. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw it as well. And I appreciate some of the content that they have, right? It's very, very good. But when it comes down to it, there are a few things like you have to rely on how good your content is. And then you have to listen to your audience. And people were what a rough time to open on April 1st when literally everyone's going into lockdown. And then to not have a way to cast to your TVs was just a huge miss. But they didn't know it was a miss.
Yeah,
right?
And that's what I saw. Like the whole model of Quibi was built around short form content that you could watch while you're waiting in line. You know.
Yeah, that's it. 10 minutes.
Or you're in the back of the Uber. You're waiting on the plane. You're waiting for the plane to take off. Like whatever it is, which is actually kind of all right. That makes sense. And then the world changed on a dime. And
there were no more lines.
Oh wait,
there was no more waiting.
How do we get this off of people's phones? No, people can only use it in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. And so all the amazing tech that they built and they spent gobs of money building for that you could seamlessly turn your phone vertically and horizontally. It didn't matter at that point. And all that people cared about was they wanted to share it with their friends if they saw something cool. But have you ever tried to take a screenshot in Quibi? You can't. It goes black. So you can't share it with your friends. And they're working on changing that right now. And then they wanted to be able to stream to your TV, which they couldn't do right off the outset. So it sounds like they're pivoting, and we'll see what happens with Quibi. They'll stick around for a while. I enjoyed the couple of shows that I watched. I thought were awesome. So the content's there.
It's good. They got big names. One of the things
really did.
Joel McHale got a doghouse for his dogs and his rabbits.
Nice. Probably.
That's the content we've all been waiting for. Right?
Yeah, it really is.
So that's what I watched. But yeah.
There was a great pay it forward show that J-Lo did, and Kevin Hart did. I would highly recommend that one. They essentially give.
I have to ask them when they're on the show too about it.
Yeah. Kevin Hart's can be a great guest for you.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good. Maybe he'll get The Rock to come on with him too. But it was great. And then I watched another show the other day, which is hilarious. Maya Rudolph was the first guest, and it was he was an influencer basically, he was a florist. And he makes these amazing. So he goes through this whole question and answer show. It's only 10 minutes long, where they ask the stupidest, craziest questions, and you're dying, right? Because Maya's hilarious. And then at the end, he creates and reveals this floral arrangement that he made for you. And for Maya, it was this big boat of flowers, and then they sang a song in it at the end, and it was awesome. It was over in 10 minutes.
Yeah. So okay.
It was cool.
My favorite is when you refer to celebrities by their first name. And half the time, I don't know if it's because you actually know them.
No. I'm just a big Maya Rudolph fan. I've been watching, my friend Tim and Cassie got me into The Good Place. Oh my gosh.
So
and we kind of stopped watching it. So don't spoil anything. I'm on the last season because here's a funny story too.
Okay. Literally. Okay. Here's the thing. They're all dead.
Yeah, no, I know.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
The spoiler alert. Dang it. So if anybody, you have to put this in the show notes that you mentioned that. Yeah. But so our friends Tim and Cassie moved here. Tim stayed with us for a while. These are friends from college, in their weddings and everything. And they were like, we're going to move out of Upland, where was our school was. They were working, both of them working at Taylor. And we were just, at one point, we were just like, you should move up here. And so they're like, okay, let's move up there. And this was like last year, before any of this craziness. And literally Tim stayed with us for a couple of months as he started his job in January. And then Cassie moved up right as we all went into lockdown.
Yeah.
So, we literally have gotten together on the porch, like what now, standing 6 feet away, all of us being super cautious of that. But it's tough when you have some of your closest friends in the world come live literally 3 miles away from you and you can't see them. It's hard.
Yeah, it's the worst.
But so they got me into that, and Tim was pushing for a long time on that. There were a couple shows and BoJack Horseman, and a couple that I've started watching because of recommendations there. But I don't know. I don't know about you, but I'm not like, I'll sit down and binge if I'm in the mood. But sometimes I need to be like sick and in bed to kind of dive in. That's where I watched Breaking Bad and those when I was, down and out for 2 weeks. Yeah.
The worst when you're like binging something is because I'm the same way, but once I get going, it's bad.
Oh, you can't stop.
Oh yeah. And I haven't pulled like anything up to 3 a.m. lately, but especially like if I travel.
Oh yeah.
Can't sleep. Watch one episode of something before I go to bed, and family's not around. They don't care if the lights are on till
it's like 6 in the morning.
I'm like, I got a meeting in 3 hours.
Yeah, it's gonna be a rough day. I remember that was me when I was getting into Game of Thrones. There was some 5 a.m.s. And I never finished it just because it started losing me after a couple seasons. But
do you remember the first show you binged?
The first show that I ever binged was Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Yep.
Mine was Alias on Netflix DVDs.
Wow, on DVDs.
Back in grad school, yeah.
Good for you. That's amazing. I don't think I ever. I used to buy the box set. Well, actually, Tim, my buddy, would have the box sets of everything. So we would binge Seinfeld, and we would binge all of it. And this was just like secondary binging. Like we were into Animaniacs. This is college stuff.
Animaniacs.
I mean, Ren and Stimpy, Animaniacs, only the best stuff.
Now you're speaking.
Sorry. There's the David mowing the lawn right beside me, so it's getting a little loud.
Okay. I guess it's not super late.
It's still light out. Yeah, it's still light out. And I mean, this has been a big week. And I know you guys probably don't have grass because you're in Arizona, but like David started mowing the lawn, and he realized he could make money doing it. So now he's saving for this big VR that he wants and learning a little bit more of the value of money instead of just spending it all on V-Bucks.
Yeah. You know what I got Colby doing? Today I had him sorting my office papers.
I gotta tell Jamie.
All those big stacks, that you kind of.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "What am I supposed to do with these?" I'm like, "You know what? Just take your best guess. Just make your piles. What goes with what." So I'm super fascinated to see how.
Where's mine thinks?
How he thought through it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's like, even just having papers in this day and age, to sort is still kind of crazy. But
yeah, and that's what I try to do every time I do this process. I try to be like, wait a second, there's got to be like a paperless version of this thing I'm for, and I try to. But it's like it's whack-a-mole, Every time. I got no more mail coming, and then
it bombards you.
Yeah.
Everything, and I know you can sign up for. I'm a little gun shy now because we lost our main family photo hard drive a couple months ago when we left. I mean, I wasn't meticulous because that was my job for a living, right? Like building photo archives and stuff. And so I never came home and did it, but I had a good system. But I never had backed it up to the cloud yet because still even 2-3 years ago, it was super slow and you never knew where were you going to put Google Photos.
Well, and your file photos are one picture is
they're huge,
or something
20-30 megs, per photo. Yeah. And so that was an unfortunate thing when we plugged the hard drive in here and it didn't boot up. And so I took it in and they were going to be it's going to be $1,500 and we'll see what we can get. And I was like, please see what you can get. Oh, we are.
We need to start a new startup.
We are. But I mean, this place is legit. It's actually next to a really cool guitar shop here in Madison. And so, but I mean, you take it in and it took almost 6 weeks because they're in white rooms, with the whole deal. It looks like an Intel commercial. They're taking the plates out and putting in other things. And he's just he would call me every Monday and he'd be like, "I'm so sorry." And I'd be like, "Ugh." So I got it back and we didn't spend that much. I think he charged me a third, which was good. Yeah. But he was real honest with me the whole time, which he could have just said $1,500. That's what you signed, But they, I ended up spending $500 and got 50 pictures back.
And they were only the bad ones.
Oh, I mean, they were literally some senior pictures from people from Epworth United Methodist, when Jamie was the youth pastor there. Yeah. So, yeah, stuff that didn't matter at that point. But we have a lot still from our iPhones at that point on different hard drives, so that's a good thing, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we've reached the point of the episode where you get to ask me a question before we wrap things up.
Okay. I think it needs a music break there.
Question 10.
Man, I didn't prep for this, Rob.
You can be my producer, by the way.
Can I?
Yep.
Actually, I have. So I got these things called. I don't know if you've seen these. Pod decks.
Would you rather? Oh, okay.
Check it out online. The guys from Chicago. They're super cool, and there's a whole bunch of different ones. So why don't we play Pod Deck Roulette?
Let's do it.
Okay, I've taken out all the adult ones.
Well, you already cussed in this episode, so it's already PG-13. So
I figured we were allowed. That's kind of our thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a weird one. If everything in your house had to be one color, what color would you choose?
Well, all my walls are kind of this like neutral gray. I feel like there's a better way to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with, I don't know, man.
Oh. I'm colorblind, so it doesn't matter. You can say anything.
Oh, you've tricked me.
I think it's funny that I got a color question.
Right. Something interesting yet non-offensive. That's my answer.
Yeah. Let's see. What can I ask you? I guess I don't know. I think we should bring up what's timely today. I don't want to be a downer, but today was a tough day, right? On the news. And it was a tough day all around. I don't know. Like, how are you feeling about that? Because I mean, I think Jamie and I in particular, it's not good. You know, like she didn't even know about the whole Central Park thing. And then she realized that when she was watching the news tonight. It was like, man, that's a 1-2 punch. You know?
It's tough because I think we've had a conversation about media, about content,
about
whatever, and we're in an age where news is content. News isn't news.
Yeah.
So these things happen, and obviously are terrible and have a horrible effect, and they start these conversations. But I wonder a lot, you know, what kind of conversations are they starting online anyway? Like my hope is that the conversations they're starting among friends, among family members, that those are happening, and that those are real substantive conversations around race, around violence, around hate, around just anything. Really, even the heavy topics. I don't know that the conversations online or I don't even think they are conversations. I think I think we post those things and repost those things because we're hoping we want other people to confirm what we already believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So that's so true.
That doesn't matter politically.
No, it could be either side, right?
Yeah. And my whole thing is about creating community and creating connection among neighbors. And I've always felt like there's a better way. And it's interesting, even doing the show, I talk about it like it's a real thing. It's just whatever. We get a friend on and talk.
Yeah.
And share it with people.
It's something. It's blowing up.
Right. And I haven't been on Facebook forever, and I'm sort of like remembering why.
Yeah.
Especially for the last few days. There seemed to be like 2-3 weeks maybe when all the lockdowns started happening or whatever, where it's like, oh, this is what Facebook was meant for. We're all coming back together and let's like virtually hug. And
it's like post 9/11, right?
Yeah. And then it just took like a few more weeks for that to wear off, and
big time.
Everybody hates each other. Oh my God. Are those Emmys behind you?
Those are.
Are those real? Those are real?
They're real.
What?
They're real. I won a couple, what do you call them? Essentially South Florida Emmys. They're Emmys.
Oh, okay. Oh, for like local news? Like local?
So it's like local. Yeah, they're local Emmys. So we did a couple stories. Yeah, they're not that big. But
nobody cares about those. Yeah.
Here.
But those Oscars back there, those are awesome.
My Tonys, on the other hand.
Yeah.
Man, the acting.
Well, we'll throw a party when you get EGOT.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I hope is maybe let's post less and have human conversation about it more, because I think that's where real change happens. Like, any experience in my life where I changed my mind about something or had a transformative experience was always like hearing somebody else's story in person, or
Sure.
being there, within somebody's presence, hearing about their experience.
Yeah.
There's an emotional human connection there that happens. So
Yeah.
I worry that when we overload on the social medias, by just here's an article, here's a hot take,
Yep.
just send ourselves further down the rabbit hole. And on bad days, it's hard to do when work and life is based all around the internet right now. But
Right.
you just got to log off, and otherwise you will just go to a place that you might not get back out of. So.
No, I mean, it's a bad place. We know those places. I was in one of those places, and a lot of it was because of that, and it's hard. But like you said, like having that human conversation with them about it and just talking to them, I was, really lucky to be put in a situation where I was standing next to Kenny Stills when he was kneeling, during an anthem. And I had a dad who fought for 30 years in the Army, and so I get to hear both sides of the story. But we won't get into it now, but they were both in agreement, because they could have those conversations. And so it's not just an assumption that you're making online that this person is an idiot or doesn't know what he's doing. Like, there's reasons behind it. And yes, they are doing really, really good things for the community and trying to open up those lines of conversation. That's why they're doing it,
Yeah. Humans, that's my.
Yeah. More human interaction.
More talking to humans.
That's why I love what Rainn Wilson's doing with Soul Pancake. We love them. And every day at noon.
Wait, do you really know Rainn, or is this?
I do not know. No, I wish I did, because I'm such a big Office fan. Yeah. But what he and John Krasinski are doing has changed everything, and from a positive media standpoint. And
but he sold out, man. Facebook told me he sold out.
Well, he got acquired. That's what we call it in bingo. So you can check acquired off your list.
Ultimate started bingo. We have blackout.
You have to release a bingo sheet. We'll have Jamie. Jamie makes Sunday bingo sheets for church every day. So if you want to re-release one before this episode, I think that would be fantastic.
Well, man. As the parting thing, I think we had the longest episode, and I think.
Do we?
Yeah, you and I could go on for very long.
time. We could talk forever.
Very long time. And it's even more helpful when we're in person and have.
I know.
But that will happen.
What was last time I saw you I was there for Pro Bowl, right? And I think we went out for.
Last time I saw you in person.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Did I meet you and Brian out at where was that amazing place up on Central? I mean, there's so many amazing places.
I think it was just you and me ended up.
Or was it just you and I? Maybe it was.
It wasn't Federal. It was Windsor.
Windsor. Oh, so good.
And then we went downtown and met up with like other football media's people.
That's right. That was a blast.
And I was like, I know what I'm doing here.
So much fun.
So, for the parting shot here, what's a word of hope you want to offer to folks right now?
Optimism. It's something that I've been studying a lot lately, because we talk about positivity versus optimism a lot in the content that we build, and optimism provides hope. And so I think in this time of everything, even everything that happened today and everything that happened the past 7-10 weeks, however long, the past 3.5 years, like there's still optimism. And as long as we hold on to that, we're going to be in good shape. Just take a deep breath and we'll kind of get through this together.
Cool. Thanks, man. Got it.
Awesome, buddy.
Crank up that for a little outro music.
That's right. There we go.
All right, everybody.
Hugs to the fam.
You too.
All right.
See you next time on the show.
Thanks, buddy.
Peace.
Peace.
How do I stop this thing?